Is that you, Carrie?
Hi, Randy. How you doing?
How are you? Hey, Kevin.
Yeah, Randy.
There he is.
I couldn't open the agenda and I was having trouble there for a second, but I got it.
Kevin, I don't know if you saw it. We're live already on YouTube. So.
Great, thanks. We'll, I think we're still waiting on a couple more, so we'll give them a couple more minutes. We'll give everyone one more minute and then we'll get started because we do have a quorum right now. All right, we're gonna get started. It's 6:04 p.m. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Start with the roll call for attendance purposes. Alderman Donahue's here. Alderman Bilotto.
Here.
Alderman Klinker.
Here.
Alderman Alexander. Absent. And Alderman Johnson. Absent. All right. Maybe they'll join us in a little bit. Next item, we have the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which I believe was September the 21st. I sent that this afternoon or this morning. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion, Bilotto.
Klinker, second.
All right, thank you. We will be doing a roll call vote. Alderman Bilotto made a motion. Alderman Klinker, second. On the roll call, Alderman Donahue's an aye. Alderman Bilotto.
Aye.
Alderman Klinker.
Aye.
All right. The ayes have it. Motion's carried. Next, on to public comment. I received no public comment via email, text, so we'll keep moving on. Next item is the payroll for October the 2nd, 2020. It's in the amount of $471,114.40. Is there a motion to approve?
Bilotto motions.
Is there a second?
Klinker.
That's all right. Just a quick question to Pika. Is this one higher because this includes the back pay and the raises for the public works and water department employees?
Yeah, so this payroll included a number of things. We had an anniversary longevity payment to an employee. We had retro payment for 2019 for the union increase. And we also had the uniform allowance for the police department.
Got it. Yeah, I knew there was a couple of things in here because it was a little bit higher than normal. So
yes,
thank you for clarifying.
And if I may, Chairman, that was a great question. I just want the committee to know that the next few payrolls coming up will be higher because we did the retro pay in like 3 steps. We did the increase first, and then we did the increases in 3 steps. So we gave them the raise in 1 pay period, then we split the retro into 2 separate pay periods. That way the payroll balance wasn't extremely high. So the next payroll will also be high as well because that one will be for retro pay for 2020.
Great, got it. All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, Alderman Bilotto made a motion. Alderman Klinker seconded the motion for approval of the payroll. On the roll call vote, Alderman Donahue's an aye, Alderman Bilotto,
Aye.
and Alderman Klinker.
Aye.
All right, ayes have it. The motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have the New Street Reconstruction final pay estimate. This is in the amount of $17,852.21. I see Eric Alvarez is on. Eric, if you wanted to talk a little bit more, or just briefly update what this is, then we'll approve it. Thank you.
Sure thing, Chairman Donahue. So this is the final pay estimate for the New Street Reconstruction project between Gregory and Irving. This is a release of the 5% retention we were holding until the contractor completed the punch list work, which we requested, which they have, including a small extra repair to the vertical retaining wall, which is the difference between the last estimate and this one. If you all are, we had a couple of questions about that, but the project's under budget and the punch list work's completed, so we've approved the release of the retention for your consideration.
Great. Any questions regarding this item?
And Alderman Donahue, Annette Alexander is here. Alderman Alexander is here.
Great. Thank you, Randy. Welcome, Annette. I'll note that she joined us at 6:08 p.m. All right. Annette, just to bring you up to speed, we're on, it'd be item number 5. It's the New Street Reconstruction final pay estimate. Eric just said that they're going ahead with recommendation of paying because they completed the punch list items and answered all follow-up questions that the city engineer had.
Exactly. Thank you, Chairman Donahue.
Yep. All right. Is there a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion, Bilotto.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Klinker.
Thank you, Alderman. All right. Alderman Bilotto made a motion for approval. Alderman Klinker made the second. On the roll call vote, Alderman Donahue is an aye. Alderman Bilotto,
Aye.
Alderman Klinker,
Aye.
and Alderman Alexander.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. 4 ayes. The ayes have it. The item is carried. Thank you, Eric, for bringing this to our attention tonight.
You're welcome.
All right. Next, moving right along, we are at the CARES Act reimbursement. Topeka, if you wanted to speak on this, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So I wanted to bring the committee up to speed on where we are with our CARES Act application. I've completed the application. I'm just reviewing it just to make sure I don't have any typos or any spelling errors, but the application is complete. I have all of my supporting materials documented. Where we are right now, one of the key requirements is that we're going to have to submit a signed IGA along with a resolution showing that City Council approved us to receive the funds. And so I'm going to send the application along with all the supporting documents along to City Council next week for approval. And then after we get the approval and everything from City Council, I'll be submitting the application to the county the following day.
Great. Any questions from members of the committee? No. All right. Is there a motion to approve the CARES Act reimbursement to send to the full City Council for next week?
I'll make a motion. Bilotto.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Klink. Up.
All right, thank you, Alderman Klinker. All right, Alderman Bilotto made a motion. Alderman Klinker seconded the motion for approval. On the roll call vote, Alderman Donahue's an aye. Alderman Bilotto.
Aye.
Alderman Klinker.
Aye.
And Alderman Alexander.
Aye.
All right, 4 ayes, the ayes have it. This item is declared carried. Thank you, Director Caratan, for bringing this to our attention and all your hard work on this. I'm sure you guys have been easy, and the city definitely could use the money. So thank you for your effort on this.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, moving on. Item number 7, General Government Budget Transfer, General Legal Services. The budget transfer request from the Finance Department is for $150,000. There's currently a negative balance. Are there any questions on item number 7?
Alderman Donahue, I got a question.
Sure, go ahead, Alderman Bilotto.
Was the first question I had, was the errors that were in the billing rectified from the last report?
Alderman Bilotto, there were no errors. All the billing that was on that budget line were correct. When I talked to Attorney Horvath, he reviewed his billing as well, and he said that there are a couple of coding errors on their end, but those items can actually stay appropriated to that budget line. It was only like $3,500.
Okay. Second question is, did we receive anything in memorandum, or I know nothing at a meeting, from Odelson and Stirk to rectify our billing to keep it down like we asked for during the budget? I know Carrie's on the line, but I know we asked for that several times.
I haven't
Is that a
received
question?
anything.
Is that a question to me?
I did. I said, Carrie, I know you're on the line. Yeah, I just know we asked several times during the budget process if we were going to get some kind of feedback from you on how to control the billing for the rest of the year. And I know I didn't receive anything, at least at a meeting. I didn't know if there was something sent to staff or a memo of something that I didn't see.
Well, what we have done is paired the legal expenses after the first 2 months of the year. I believe we paired the legal expenses significantly per our billing. Unfortunately, in the last couple months, we've had a couple of unexpected, I'll call them unexpected items with respect to the Vault and Ravens, which we're involved in litigation with them right now. But we've tried to keep our billings for general and litigation below. I did an analysis at one point, and if you'll bear with me, in the first 2 months of the year, if I'm not mistaken, it may have been the first 3, but I think it was the first 2 months of the year, the billings were in excess of, if I'm not mistaken, they were in excess of $30,000. We've kept them down except for this last month, or excuse me, the month of July. We've kept them down in the $20,000 to $25,000 range, which is litigation and general. We've kept general significantly below just by avoiding doing a number of things that probably at some point will have to be addressed. But I'm looking for my spreadsheet that I prepared for myself. But I think if you look at the numbers that were presented to you by the finance director approximately a month ago, when it showed it was very close to $150,000 that had been spent on general government. Less than $100,000 of that had been allocated to our law firm, which is approximately, I think at the time was approximately $15,000 to $16,000 a month for general government. which was very close to what I had indicated when you were doing the appropriations, would be an accurate number to deal with in appropriating for general government. Litigation is slightly different in the sense that that depends in large part on when and if the city gets sued, or in our case, when we have to file suit, which we have done, or take legal action, which we have done, with respect to entities such as the Vault or Ravens or Affordable Recovery, or with respect to the Libby building. So we've kept the average for general legal below what we anticipated at the beginning of the year. And in the last few months, if I'm not mistaken, for July, with the exception of AFSCME, the general legal was approximately 7,200. And in August, general legal was approximately 6,500. So that's about as low as we can keep it. And as I said, as far as litigation, that's a variable which depends on the actions that are taken by us or against the city by individuals or entities. If you want a memorandum, I don't know what else I can tell you. If you compare the billings from the beginning of the year as they've gone through the month of August now, I think you'll see that they were reduced significantly over time, with the exception of this month of July, which hit the $30,000 mark, but which I explained in my email to you earlier, involved two large items, one being Ravens Vault and the other being AFSCME. I don't know what else to explain to you. I'll be glad to answer your questions if you have any, Alderman.
Mike, I got other questions, but it's kind of unrelated, but it would be litigation. Wouldn't that be a different line item?
Yes, litigation, that's not part of general government.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. General government, for the 6 months that was reported to you by the finance director, was just under $150,000. And of that, our portion was approximately 2/3 for the 6-month period. Just about 2/3, just under 2/3, which, as I said, shook out to between $15,000 and $16,000 a month on average for general government. And that's the fund that Finance Director Carthen is indicating needs to have an adjustment, because it's right now apparently in a negative balance. When the report was provided to you, I had indicated that there may be some adjustments based upon, we'll call them corrections, but when I talked with Topeka, I told her that the adjustments when I analyzed our bills were really just coding errors on our part. And so of the 150, 50 was spent on Ackerman. Montana Welsh was approximately 20 or 21 in that 6-month period. I don't have the number in front of me right now. Ackerman, and then there were some miscellaneous, there were some other legal charges assessed by law firms that had handled litigation that had been assigned to them prior to our involvement as city attorneys. And then there was some fees that were assessed by a law firm that handles the abandoned property program for Mark Miller through the city. So overall, general government was on average spending for all the entities involved, whatever 150 divided by 6 is that 25,000 on average a month?
Yeah.
And of that, approximately 15 per month was for our firm. 15 to 16 was for our firm.
On a side note, Attorney, on a side note,
Tried
before I
to
forget,
reduce that even greater. I'm sorry.
before I
didn't mean to
forget,
interrupt.
no, while you mentioned the Ravens place, I actually saw that in the bill. I have no doubt there was issues there. Other than your billing and what you're saying right now, the city has not been informed, or the alderman, even the alderman of that ward, what's going on, if anything's going on. I know it's maybe
Well,
not you. We haven't, other than your billing, I mean, other than us guessing and driving past it, we were just all assumed that stuff's been pulled and it's closed. We don't know if it's open again or.
What we've done, beginning in July, they've been closed for a total now of, let's see, there was a 26-day suspension that just expired approximately 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And then prior to that, they had a 10-day suspension that expired. In the first instance, we assessed a fine of I think it was $1,000. In the second instance, we assessed a fine of $5,000. Unfortunately, we have another action pending, which is scheduled for a hearing to begin this Friday, and that is a hearing where we are seeking either a very, very significant suspension or possibly even a revocation of the license for Ravens. I'll be glad to speak in greater detail if need be, but we've had ongoing litigation with them in the form of where we will enter a summary suspension because of activities that have occurred, and then we will set a hearing, and Ravens and Vault are represented by a law firm. We'll set a hearing, we'll go through the procedures, and then the first instance, Mr. Is it Ray? Mr. Thomas, in the first instance, just agreed to pay a fine and take a 10-day suspension. In the second instance, his lawyers got involved. It got a little bit more difficult, but it ended up with a 26-day suspension and a $5,000 fine. We thought that would cure the issues, but it did not. And so we filed another summary suspension approximately 10 days ago now. We were supposed to go to hearing on Friday of this past week, but they requested a continuance. That was for Ravens only. They requested a continuance, so it was granted until next Friday with the understanding that they would be closed until that point in time. But to make a long story short, this has been ongoing. Each instance has been more serious than the prior, and so at this point we're seriously considered seeking a revocation through the of Ravens through the present proceeding that's pending. I was unaware that the aldermen were not informed of what was going on. I assumed that that information had been provided to you by the mayor's office. So I'll be glad to summarize it in an email to all of you, or in a memo to all of you tomorrow if you'd like, so that you all have a detail in front of you.
This is Jim Klinker. That'd be great, because I was going to ask the same questions that Fred just did. Thank you. That's the first I've heard anything.
Just so you know, too, I know you brought this to the attention of the police department, which we then followed up on. There was a cigar store.
Right.
I can't remember, Stogie Life.
Yeah.
Right.
Once we investigated that, we issued a cease and desist order because they didn't have a city license. And based upon what we then found they were doing in terms of they were having an actual, in addition to selling cigars, there was a smoke shop. And per the state statute, the Smoke-Free Illinois statute, you can't have a smoke shop unless it's in a freestanding building or what's considered to be freestanding. When we obtained the lease and some more specifics concerning that property or that business, we said that we were not going to issue a license. They since moved out and are not being allowed to operate. So that issue has been resolved. There are two other ancillary businesses we believe that might be. One has applied for a license, and the other we just learned of last week. The one that applied for a license is we're told is a boutique. We're not quite sure yet, and no license to my knowledge has been issued. But we're not quite sure when they say it's a boutique, what kind of boutique they intend to operate. And that's in the premises immediately to the south of 13035 Western. We've learned quite a bit about the operation of Ravens and the vault, and that's why we're seeking or seriously considering seeking a revocation, because it appears that they're operating beyond what was originally licensed for the Ravens place, and also beyond what was originally licensed for the vault. The vault was licensed as a restaurant and entertainment center, but as you all probably have been told, at least by constituents, it appears that the vault is operating more as a nightclub, at least on the weekend nights. And Ravens may have expanded their licensed premises beyond the address that's in the liquor license that was issued to them. And so we're pursuing those actions with respect to the proceeding that we have presently pending with Ravens, and we'll be initiating one with the vault if we obtain some additional information concerning what occurred this weekend. I don't want to get into more specifics on that because we haven't filed any kind of charge yet with respect to that. If you have any other questions, I'll try to answer them for you.
Great, thanks, Kerry. Alderman Bilotto, anything else? I know you said you had a couple more, but I wasn't sure if they were.
I threw them in there. I'm sorry. Yeah, I believe the issue has to be resolved. I'm pondering my thoughts over here, Chairman.
All right, ponder away. Any other questions from members of the committee?
So
No?
I have a question. So is there a amount that we are targeting for?
Yeah, Alderman, from what Topeka sent us, it's 150. It's a total of 150,000 being transferred. If you give me a second, I could pull up exactly where the transfers are coming from. So there's a transfer amount of $50,000 from the medical insurance amount. There's a transfer from the settlement payments, another $50,000. And then from account personal injury, civil rights claims, there's a transfer amount, again, of $50,000 with the grand total budget transfer request of $150,000.
Okay, I saw that amount. So we're saying for the rest of the year, for the remaining part of the year, we're going to spend another $150,000?
That's the forecasted amount, Alderman. Yeah, that's the forecasted. That's the forecasted amount based on the total of invoices that I've been seeing on a monthly basis.
Okay, so year to date, Topeka, you said we've already spent $450,000?
We spent the full appropriated amount on that budget line, which I believe we spent $150,000 on general legal.
Okay. Okay, maybe I'm not understanding this because I don't understand why we're gonna transfer $150,000 for 3 months if we haven't been spending that type of money all year long?
Alderman Alexander, we typically spend around $50,000 in general legal service on the general legal line.
Every
And
month?
last year, yes. And last year, that budget line was appropriated for roughly $300,000, and it was cut in half. So that's why we're in this position now.
Actually, it was appropriated at I think it was 350 last year, and this year it was reduced to 150.
Well, if we only,
The amount being moved, being requested, I believe, by the finance department is to put 150,000 in the account. The 150 that was spent, Alderman Alexander, was for the months of January through June of 2020. As I explained earlier, that was for our firm and Montana Welsh, Ackerman, and a number of other entities, a court reporting entity, a couple of
The real estate attorney Benzing and Saltada, Ackerman, Montana Welsh, Odelson and Sturg.
So what about if we do this? What if we just do a transfer of 75,000 to see where that gets us, and then if we have to come back in 2 months at the end of the year to do it again, we can. But I think I've been very, very big on trying to keep this small and tight and tightening the belt as possible. And I'm afraid that if we put 150 in there, it's gonna give leeway to spending 150, thinking the money's there. So I'd rather us just do something less than what's being suggested by staff. Again, because I'm afraid that if we put it in there and they see it or people see it, they know they can keep spending, but I'd rather keep this as tight and as small as possible. And again, there's nothing that stops us from coming back in December or January to fix this again for this budget year if we have to do it again. Thoughts from the committee? I'm trying to dialogue and discussion on what we should do.
I'm okay with doing the 75, and if we need to in December to come back and look at this again and maybe have to transfer again, I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah, that works for me too.
All right, Alderman Bilotto, looks like you're going to say something. Just looking at your face there.
Chairman, I'm sorry. I just want to.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Annette. Please go ahead.
I wanted to ask if this is possible, because I know during the year, employees call the attorney's office, and he may help them with whatever issues going on, and in turn they bill the city of Blue Island for that particular phone call. Is there a way, starting next year, we start the year off, right? Every time, can we have a spreadsheet or something like that to see what employees are calling and what the billing amount is for that particular phone call, just so we can have a running total of who keep calling and why, and why we being billed for these phone calls?
Yeah, I don't, Topeka, is that something that you could possibly work on? If you have a second, whenever you have a chance to do something like this?
Sure.
All right. Anything else on this item? right. Is there a motion to approve transferring $75,000 from the 3 accounts that she listed to the general legal to get us through the rest of the year?
I'll make a motion.
Klinker, second.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you, Alderman. All right, Alderman Alexander made a motion. Alderman Klinker seconded the motion to transfer $75,000 budget transfer to the general legal services. On the roll call vote, Alderman Donahue is an aye. Alderman Bilotto.
No.
Alderman Bilotto, no. Alderman Klinker
Aye.
and Alderman Alexander.
Aye.
All right. 3 ayes, 1 nay.
And I want to preface it, Chairman, like I said before, I'm in agreement, we need to address it. I'm just not comfortable making the vote just yet on the information that I have in front of me. So that's where my vote was at.
Sure, no, understood. So 3 ayes, 1 nay. The motion is declared carried. All right, thank you. Item 8, or I guess item 7B, are there any aldermanic concerns or comments before we adjourn? No, seeing none. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion, Bilotto.
All right, Alderman
Second.
Bilotto, motion. Alderman Alexander, second. Roll call vote to adjourn. Alderman Donahue is an aye. Alderman Bilotto.
Aye.
Alderman Klinker.
Aye.
And Alderman Alexander.
Aye.
Great, thank you. We are adjourned at 6:38. Because of the Columbus Day holiday, next week we won't be meeting, so our next meeting will be October the 19th. The accounts payable and payroll that are on the city council agenda will just be presented at city council. So if you have any questions, bring it with you to city council next Tuesday. All right, thanks everyone. Good night.
All right, good night, everybody.